Hello everyone, welcome to Sharmit. In this session, we are going to talk about another very important topic related to API query parameters. So mainly we are going to discuss how to perform sorting operation on the data that we are fetching from the API. Okay, so for that, what is the way to use query params, how we can fetch the data and sort it according to ascending or descending according to the need, right? So these are all things we are going to discuss in this particular session. So here you can see, firstly I'll walk you through the output as well as the URL or API that we are using for this demo, and then we will see the entire source code to understand the actual steps to follow to complete this task. Okay, so if you look at the output is straightforward. Firstly, we have printed two headings that shows Angular course by Sharmit and sorting via query params. Second, we have two buttons, ascending and descending. So these buttons which will help us to sort the data. So let's say if I want to sort these names on descending, so I click on descending and you can see now it is descending order, right? If I want to make it ascending again, I will select ascending and then it will do the ascending sorting. Okay, so it totally depends on user, like if he or she wants to use it in ascending order, they can select ascending, otherwise they can select descending. Okay, now for this demo we are using this URL, that is the API, where we have 10 records. So you can see we have 10 IDs with some sort of data related to that record, and we are just using the names for sorting purpose. Clear? So this is public API, you can also utilize it if it is needed for your demo. Now what we will do, we will walk through the entire source code. But before we walk through the entire source code, I just want to recommend you to please go and check out the previously released session first, because they all are in proper sequence and sync. So if you follow it sequentially, then it would be much more easier for you to understand the ongoing topic, because for time being we are just mainly focusing on how to perform sorting via query params. But prior to that, you should know what is HTTP params, what is query params, how we pass the query parameters, and how to call the API. So if you know at least these basic things that we have already covered, then things would be much more easier for you. Okay, and for that you can also refer the Sharmit digital course book, which is freely available in the description box. There you will find thousands of sessions available in both Hindi as well as English language. So without any language barrier, you can easily consume the content, and in case if you have any queries or questions related to that, feel free to reach out to me through my comment section. I would be more than happy to answer all your queries there. Okay, alright, so let's get started and see the source code. So here I have already executed the program, so let me close it and I'll show you everything from scratch. You all must know about this thing that we are going to configure the app file, right? We all know that this is mandatory file. So this is my app.config.ts file, where I have registered the provide HttpClient. Okay, so it should be imported here and it should be registered like this, providers : HttpClient. So if you have mentioned this line, that means now your application can call the API, okay, to fetch the data and to perform the operations on API. So this is very important thing. Your application should be registered with the provide HttpClient. Okay, once it is done, now you are good to use your application with API call. And for the demo purpose, I need one component, so I have already created the component with name comp1. In case if you don't know how to create it, you can run ng angular ggenerate c component and comp1 for component name. When you press enter on it, it will automatically create this component comp1 with 4 files: css, html, spec.ts and component.ts. Okay, now we all know that once component is created, it should be connected with our main application, right? And to connect it with our main application, you should go to app.component.ts file, and here just look for this value selector. Okay, selector value. So we need to copy this thing. Okay, this is the term, or this is the value that will help us to connect this component 1 with our main application. So we will just copy it from here, and then you can go to app.component.ts file. Here in this app.component.ts file, you can simply import the component first. And remember, this is not the value that we copied, it's a comp1 component, which is name of the component. Okay, so it should be imported here and added here in this area. Once it is done, then you are good to use HTML, the value that we have copied. Okay, so go to app.component.html. Here we have app Angular course by Sharmit, sorting via query params, then 2 horizontal rows there, app.comp1. So this app.comp1 tag is nothing but a value that we have copied from the app from the comp1.component.ts file. Okay, perfect. So now we are good. We have connected the application with the main comp1 with the main application. Now I'll show you the entire logic that we have stored for the API. So initially when you create the component, you will not find these kind of import, because these things we have imported later, but make sure that it is imported. Even when you write the logic, it will automatically import it if you are using VS Code. Okay, so common module, HttpClient, HttpParams, these are added. Now inside a empty class, because you will get the empty class for the very first time when you create it. Okay, so inside this what we have noted down, let's see. So firstly I have mentioned users any, which is nothing but an array that I will use to store my data. Okay, so it will hold my entire data. Then we have constructor private HttpClient, which is nothing but a shortcut, you can say, that now it is registered, and whenever I want to use HttpClient, I will use the term HTTP. Okay, then we have one method that is called ngOnInit method. This method will be automatically invoked whenever the application loads for the very first time. Okay, so if your application loads for the first time, it will be then this method will be automatically invoked, and it will store the value this dot load users ASC. Okay, that means it will set the default load user value as ascending ASC. Then we have defined the method. Like in method I have clearly mentioned load user, order string, constant params, new HTTP params dot set underscore sort, and the value of sort will be depending on name. Okay, then dot sort dot set, here we have sort, here we have set, underscore order, and the order is defined with the help of parameter. So whatever value we will receive from this parameter will be stored in this order. And then we are normally calling the API this dot http dot get any, and we have this URL, and then we are attaching the params that is built either through the default or through the button. Like when we change the value of order through button, it will be set accordingly. And then we are subscribing to response, and response will be stored in this dot users. Okay, so whatever response we will get from the application will be stored in this dot users, and then we are populating the output. So for output we have created two buttons. So currently we are in a comp1.component.html file where we have created two buttons, load users, order, ASC, ascending, and for descending we are passing the value at DESC. Then we have one horizontal row, and we are iterating values through for loop. So user of users, track user ID, user name. Okay, so one by one we are printing the username, and track user ID is just for tracking, like if every value is processed or if something is newly added, it will check that as well. Okay, now let me show you the flow, like how it is actually working. So ng serve --- open, enter, just wait for a few seconds, and then it will show you the output in the browser screen. So let's see. Yeah, we have got the output. Now you can see I didn't click any button yet, right? So without any button click, it by default it sort the data on the basis of ascending order. Okay, why? Because this thing we have set inside our component.ts file, that your load user value should be ASC. Second, when I click on button descending, it passed the value which is DESC, and that DESC value will sort the data into descending order. Again, if I click on the ascending, it will sort the data on ascending order. So it totally depends on the button, like which button you are executing. And in case if you are not clicking any button and you load the application for the first time, it load the data on the basis of ascending order. Okay, so this is how we can perform the sorting using query parameters in Angular. I hope today's session is clear to all of you. In the next session we will discuss few more things. So thank you for watching Tech Sharmit.